Welcome to Concrete Block, the podcast where we dive into the latest news and trends shaping our world. I'm your host, Walter. Today, we're going to explore a fascinating topic that has significant implications for global economics and politics. The erosion of trust in the United States financial system is causing ripples around the world, with allies hedging their bets and exploring alternative institutions. The US dollar has long been the dominant currency in international trade and finance, but recent actions by the Trump administration have raised concerns about its stability. The use of tariffs, attempts to pressure the Federal Reserve, and interventions in markets have all contributed to a sense of uncertainty among investors and policymakers. As a result, other countries are starting to diversify their reserve holdings and explore alternative payment systems. The European Central Bank, for example, is revamping its euro liquidity facilities to make the single currency more attractive to global reserve managers. China, too, sees an opportunity in American volatility, with some experts arguing that the US's growing appetite for interventionism blurs the line between its economic system and China's command economy. The question on everyone's mind is, what happens when trust dissolves? Will the dollar fall from its perch as the global reserve currency? Probably not, at least not anytime soon. But what's more likely is that the margin of the US's dominance will shrink, creating space for other currencies and institutions to emerge. This shift has significant implications for investors, who are now wondering whether they should diversify their portfolios away from dollar-based assets. It also raises questions about tail risk protection against financial crises and whether humility is warranted in the face of such uncertainty. As we navigate this complex landscape, it's essential to remember that not everything is in the hands of the White House. The Federal Reserve and the courts are still asserting themselves, as seen in a recent Supreme Court ruling that defended the authority of Congress in matters of tariffs. The U.S.'s position in the global economy is indeed a key factor in enabling economic security, but it rests on confidence in its institutions and the health of the U.S. Treasury market. As investors continue to have an insatiable appetite for American federal debt, it's crucial to recognize that this trust can be fragile and subject to erosion. We'll be right back with more of today's top news on Concrete Block. Welcome back to Concrete Block. We're diving into the complexities of the Middle East conflict, where a fragile ceasefire hangs in the balance. The recent agreement between the US, Israel, and Iran was supposed to bring a measure of peace to the region, but Israeli strikes on southern Lebanon have raised concerns about the deal's effectiveness. To understand the situation better, let's take a closer look at the events unfolding in Lebanon. The country has been caught in the crossfire between Israel and the heavily armed militia Hezbollah, which is widely seen as Iran's proxy. Lebanese authorities report that over 1,500 people have been killed so far, with many more injured. The European Commission has called on Israel to halt all attacks on Lebanese territory, emphasizing the need to respect Lebanon's territorial integrity and sovereignty. This sentiment has been echoed by several European countries, as well as the Prime Ministers of Canada and the UK, who have urged all parties to implement the ceasefire in Lebanon and work towards a lasting peace. However, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has made it clear that his government intends to occupy southern Lebanon long-term, with the goal of eradicating Hezbollah. This stance has led to concerns that Israel may ignore international calls for restraint, similar to its actions in Gaza. As the situation continues to unfold, it's essential to consider the perspectives of all parties involved. The U.S., in particular, has been notable for its silence on Lebanon's fate, with President Donald Trump yet to comment on the matter. In conclusion, the Middle East conflict remains a complex and delicate issue, with no clear resolution in sight. As we continue to monitor the situation, it's crucial to prioritize fairness, balance, and understanding in our analysis. The people of Lebanon deserve our attention and support during this challenging time. Good afternoon, and welcome back to the Concrete Block. As we wrap up today's show, we're going to delve into a developing story that has significant implications for global trade and stability. The situation in the Middle East continues to unfold, with tensions between Iran, the US, and Israel remaining high. Recently, a ceasefire agreement was announced, but its scope and effectiveness are already being tested. One of the critical issues at play is the status of the Strait of Hormuz, a vital shipping route that has been effectively closed due to threats from the Iranian Navy. This closure has led to a spike in crude oil prices, affecting petrol and diesel costs worldwide. Foreign Secretary Yvette Cooper has called for the Strait of Hormuz to be fully reopened without any tolls or restrictions, emphasizing the importance of international cooperation to keep pressure on Iran. She also urged that Lebanon be included in the ceasefire agreement, citing concerns over the escalation of Israeli strikes. The UK, along with other nations, is navigating how to contribute to securing the critical waterway without becoming entangled in the broader conflict. The situation is complex, with various parties having differing views on the best course of action. Some are advocating for a stronger stance against Iran's actions, while others are pushing for a more diplomatic approach. As we consider the perspectives of all involved, it's clear that finding a resolution will require careful balance and cooperation among nations. The impact of this conflict extends far beyond the region, affecting economies and people around the world. In conclusion, the situation in the Middle East remains volatile, with the status of the Strait of Hormuz and the inclusion of Lebanon in the ceasefire agreement being key points of contention. As the global community works towards a peaceful resolution, it's essential to stay informed about developments and consider the complexities at play. That's all for today's Concrete Block. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and until next time, stay informed.